The last shop I visited in Virginia Beach ended up having some really great key comics. Stay tuned and we'll go over each and every one of them. Welcome back, comic book fans. This is Rusty again. Today I'm going to be wrapping up my review of the 5 comic book shops that I visited while on a short trip to Virginia Beach. In my last episode, we reviewed the first 4 shops, but I realized while filming that the episode was going to go pretty long, so I decided to save the last shop for today's video because it turned out to be a true honey hole, as Moneyball Comics likes to call them. I will definitely be going back to this shop. Now, before we get into the review of the books and the shop, make sure you hit the like button, slap the subscribe, and be sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on great content like this each and every Monday and Friday at 10 a.m. And make sure you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, where I end up selling many of the books that I get graded at better deals than you'll find on my eBay store. All right, so now let's pick it up where I left off in the last episode and go over the review of this shop. All right, so the last comic book shop for today is Trilogy Comics in Virginia Beach. Now, this is the shop that I went to right after I left Comic Kings on that Monday. And again, I had no idea about this shop. I saw photos on Google where they had a lot of comic books, a lot of stuff. It was hard to find. I didn't see wall books necessarily, but I saw that they had a lot of stuff, and it was close by. So I figured, what's it harm in running over there? I know I was going to be visiting 2 other shops on the way home. Let's go visit. And I will tell you what, this place impressed. Now, it was jam-packed. They need a bigger space because there was going to be no going through their regular back issue bins if you wanted to. They had so much stuff. They deal a lot with anime as well. So they had tons of anime type toys and products and books. And just about every place, all of the back issue bins as you come in the whole store there, literally it's filled up with stuff on top of it. You can't even get to it. Don't even think about be able to move something because the stuff that's sitting there has stuff on top of that. And it was jam-packed. But I will tell you this, they had some nice books. And those bins were the regular bins, but at the front of the store, they had boxes and they had another counter away from their register counter that was just on the front of the store that, wow, they had some great books. And once I started digging in there, I'm going, I don't mind paying some of these prices just because the books were fantastic. And you had to hold me back at that point because it's dangerous for me to get in there because I will find expensive books that I like and I'll find inexpensive books that I like. Every one of these are books that I've spec'd on for the most part. And I was excited and I started pulling stuff out and I realized, wow, this is going to add up quick. Because I just stepped into a giant honeypot or a honey hole, as Moneyball Comics likes to call it. I will be going back there countless times because, man, they had the books. And I couldn't pick up everything, but I picked up some really gems here. So let's get into it. First book that I ended up picking up, and I've got these kind of, not completely random, but they're not going to be in any order of significance. But let's just start with the first one here. Let's see. I picked up another Marvel Comics Presents. This is issue 79. I have not had luck finding this copy out in the wild at other comic shops or even shows without having some sort of ticks on this side over here. And I've been looking for a really good copy on this right here. I didn't realize, I knew that this was the second most desired copy or issue in this little series from Barry Windsor Smith artwork here. And I wasn't really sure why. I think it has everything to do with this cover. I don't know if that's when they first call him. I don't even know if they called him Wolverine at this. I don't know if they even call him Weapon X at this. I don't know what more significance there is on this. I know the cover is a key to it. But a 9.8, when I did the research on this, I knew it was good because it was going to be better than all the regular ones, except for number 72. Recent sale was back in August on eBay, went for $500. And I'm going, oh my God, that's even more than issue number 72 at a 9.8. I don't think that's even up there at that point. But the most common grade on this book right here is a 9.6. And it only goes, this is why you, even on an issue like this, you've got to get a 9.8 to mean anything. 9.6, $84 on eBay back in December. So you can see how far these drop off. These are considered, even though this is 1991, it's still a modern comic book, even though it's a lot of years later. So I'm real happy about this one right here. Yeah, we'll see if we can get this one in the shop and get that out to CGC pretty soon. I can't wait to get that one out there. The next book was, they had a whole slew of these. These are New Mutants number 18. This is the Demon Bear storyline by Chris Claremont and Bill Sienkiewicz. This is where Bill Sienkiewicz came over, the first issue that he worked on after Moon Knight, and he broke the world when he came out with New Mutants. The artwork was I wouldn't say completely different, but it had gotten to a level just of this abstract nature that just blew everyone away, and loved the artwork. He was very influential to me back in college when I was a design and art student, and this is my time. This is my time for these books and being influenced by creators like Bill Sienkiewicz. So I picked that up. There is some spec value on this. 9.8 on this is $120. It's not great, but for a $10 purchase at a really good copy, I went through every one of these and I tried to pick out the very best one. And yeah, it's not a lot, but it's a book that I would be interested in getting in my PC. It's a key issue in the sense that of course, Bill Sienkiewicz, Claremont, you've got the movie that they made a few years ago that was based loosely on this Demon Bear storyline. Again, another book though, 9.6 is drop off, $85, just sold a couple weeks ago on eBay. So it's not worth a lot if you don't get that 9.8. So moving forward, as I said, the books just keep getting better. These were the little books. And I picked up another copy of Web of Spider-Man number 31. Yeah, 31. This is the first copy issue of the Kraven's Last Hunt storyline. I do own a 9.8 of that. I cleaned and pressed it myself and got a 9.8. It is in my PC. It is one of my projects where I'm trying to get 9.8 with all 6 issues. I'm halfway there, and I definitely have this one. But for another $10, I don't mind specking on a book like that. This book right here, as a 9.8, is a $250 eBay purchase right now. It literally just went a few weeks ago on eBay for that price. But boy, it can drop off. Heritage Auctions just had one of these in the auction for a 9.6. You'd think at $250 you'd still have maybe not half of the value, but you'd have close. No, it literally dropped down on Heritage down to $45. Now, granted, with all the fees that Heritage has on top and buyer's premiums on top of that, it's probably closer to an $80 book as it is. But it really drops off. You got to have a 9.8. I wouldn't have picked this up if I didn't think it was a great candidate for that 9.8. All right, bigger and better things here. I can't stop picking this book up. It's because I want a 9.8 in my PC. When I started, I loved this book as a kid. When I started picking it up at shows, I picked up a really nice copy from Pop-Up Comics at a show over in Frederick, Maryland a year ago, and we had a discussion about the book, and they felt like it was a 9.4. I said, I think I can get it up to a 9.6, and I was able to. But I want a 9.8 in my PC, and what I'm talking about is Marvel 2-in-1, issue number 54, The Thing and Deathlock. And you've got a George Perez cover, John Byrne interiors. Terry Austin did the inking on the cover, but I think it was Joe Sinnott who did the inking on Byrne on the inside, I think. But what a great issue. It's one of my favorite. It is a key issue in the sense that you got the first appearance of the Grapplers, the female wrestling team, but in that group you have the first Titania, and more importantly, you have the first Screaming Mimi, who is actually Songbird that you've seen in Thunderbolts and in Avengers Forever. So it's a key issue. 9.8 to give you some stats on this. 9.8 on this is only $232. At some point, if it drops much lower, I may just have to buy a 9.8 and be done with it. But I keep looking for really good copies at good prices. And this was a good price. And this copy looks fantastic. They did have a newsstand version that I passed on, but it wasn't quite as good as the direct, which I don't mind. Directs were not that... There weren't... I would say directs were more limited in 1979 than the newsstand. Although newsstands has its own problems with kids thumbing through books on the stands and everything. And a direct has less chance of that, but there's definitely a lot less of these. So I think a direct from 1979 is actually pretty desirable. 9.8, as I said, $232, just sold a couple weeks ago in January on eBay. 9.6 still has a lot of value at $141, and again, I think it actually had the same sale on the same day on January. So, great book to have. I love that book. So, all right, next book. We're up in our game. We keep getting bigger and bigger books here, and this one's really nice and paid a little bit more money than the last three here, but I couldn't pass it up when I looked at the condition. They had several of these. If I had had more money, I would have picked up multiple of this. Wolverine #1 from 1988. Chris Claremont, John Buscema. Wolverine's first ongoing series. And this is a book right now went for $450. Actually, it was the best offer, but I suspect it was still in that $400, maybe $425 range on eBay a couple weeks ago in January. Still has enough value at a 9.6 to make it respectable at $150. It went at the same time in January. So I look at this book. You've got this deep, dark cover. Tough book not to have ticks in it. And this is one of the finest copies of this book I picked up over the last year. And hopefully it won't disappoint, and hopefully they'll have the other two copies they had down there the next time I visit Trilogy Comics. I can't wait to get back down there just to get this book. But great book to have. I hope to get this as a 9.6. 9.8. I own this as a 9.6. That was my own personal copy that I graded. I was disappointed in that, but I feel like this copy is actually better than the one that I had previous. So like I said, they had a ton of really good books, and after I'd finished that one section, I went back to the front of the store, just around the corner actually from the other side of the front of the store, and to where the counter was, where the register was, and the owner was sitting, and we ended up having a long discussion and talking about some of the books, and they had some more boxes sitting out there in the aisle right in front of their counter. And you start thumbing through these, and I see X-Men books, Spider-Man books, and I'm going, ooh, these look interesting. Let's look through this. I mean, they had boxes on top of boxes on top of boxes, and I'm literally in this area, and I'm literally picking up a box, setting it down, going through the next box, picking that box up, sitting there, going around on shelves. They have short boxes. I'm pulling them in and pulling them out. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that I couldn't even look at because you couldn't even get to it. But this area, and then the ones right in front of the counter, basically, were really good stuff. It looked like they were set up to go to shows with some of these books. But let me show you this one here. And it wasn't on my list, but it is definitely a book that I know about. And when I saw it, and I saw the price, but it was the condition that made me go ahead and buy it. It was this here. It's not a key, but it's just a wonderful John Romita Sr. cover. It is Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man number 62 with Medusa. I mean, what a great cover. This is an all-time classic cover, guys. Great story. And this condition just, as I'm thumbing through the books and looking at the prices, but I look at the condition and I'm looking at this book and I'm going, wow, this is really nice. So I did a quick look up on Go Collect, and I was seeing values on this thing. 8.5 right now, just sold on eBay for $459. And I'm going, I think I can get this to an 8.5. I mean, that right there is more than doubles what I'd be spending on this book. And God forbid you could get any higher. So I'm rolling the dice on this. I think this is going to come out pretty good. I think even if it goes down a little bit in grade, if I miss out and it's a 7.0 or a 7.5, I think I'll still be okay. But I went ahead and purchased it. But even there's an interesting story with it. We were talking about this book, and he said that they had it graded. And I took it, again, I'm taking a chance on it because they didn't agree with the grading, and they broke it out with the intention of probably sending it back in again. And they got I think a 6.5 on this, and they were not like, there's no way this is 6.5. Now I see some creases over here in this area that I think I can work out pretty good. But this copy looks spectacular, and I told him, I said, if I get anything higher than that 6.5 when I get this graded, I'll let you guys know. And he kind of gave me that look like, oh, if you get it much higher, I don't want to know. But I'm real happy with this right here. Nothing wrong with collecting any of those first 100 issues of Spider-Man they have in the PC. It doesn't matter. You can pick it. Even the keys, the ones that aren't keys are keys because it's just early Spider-Man, and everybody wants issues like this, and this is spectacular. So I was really happy with this one. I'm really excited about getting that into CGC, but I've got to get it into the shop first and do a little work on it and really take a look and make sure I didn't make a mistake by picking this up. But that's really good. It's Amazing Spider-Man number 62. Okay, like I said, there were other boxes right in front of the counter besides that Spider-Man box. And what did I say? There was an X-Men box. And right now, currently, you may laugh when I say I'm trying to pull back a little bit on what I'm buying. Well, it doesn't mean I'm not buying stuff. I'm being maybe a little bit more selective because I've got so much in the shop to press and to speculate on. I don't need to keep buying everything all the time. But I figured let's go back and let's concentrate a little bit on the PC. And what is one of my personal projects? It is getting John Byrne X-Men 108 through 143 in 9.8. Excuse me, 9.6 at the very least. And I've got every issue now. I just recently picked up issue 120. This is the last one I needed to have all of them. But the journey continues trying to get those 9.6s, and I've got a bunch of them in the shop. And the books that were in this box in front of the counter were some really good comics, and I know I've already got them, and I'll end up having multiple copies on some of these. And what I'll look to do is try to keep the higher grade when I get them graded, and maybe sell, and then definitely sell off the lower grades. Or in some cases, I may feel like selling off the higher grade. I don't know. I think they're still, especially at 9/8, all of these are investment books. So what did I pick up? I ended up picking up some John Byrne books here. Let's go in sequential order, starting with 132. 132 is part 4 of the Dark Phoenix storyline. You've got the Hellfire Club. I don't know if there's no real key to this other than just being part of that storyline. But great issue. All of them were, if I'm repeating myself on that. Right here, this is 1980. Beautiful copy. I mean, I didn't pick these up because I'm thinking they're really good. These are really good. And I'm really hoping that these will come out really nice when I get them graded. 9.6 on this is the most common grade. Sold back in January for $149. That's respectable. 9.8s go for $630. Again, the same time period on eBay. So 9.8s are king on these John Byrne X-Men. 9.6s, I collect those because I think that's a really respectable grade for that time, from 79, 80, 81, that I think that's a respectable, and they're affordable. But 9.8s are definitely, if you're looking to resell, you want to get 9.8s on these to really maximize your return on investment. But 132 is really good. And then the big issue in all of those was 133, the first solo Wolverine. And I don't think this one's got a little pressable defect that I hope will be fine. It's the only one out of the four books I've got here that was a little bit questionable for that 9.8, but I wouldn't have rolled the dice if I didn't think there was a really good shot at it. 133 was May of 1980. It is, of course, the first solo Wolverine cover, and this is actually a little bit less. The last sale on this was Got that wrong. I was going to say it's a 9.8. 9.6 just recently sold for $459. Fantastic. It is the most common grade you'll find on issue 133. 9.8s, if you can do that, one just sold again a few weeks ago back in January for almost $1,500. So it's definitely the money book out of this whole Dark Phoenix saga. This was a great copy. It's at least the second or third copy I've got now that'll be in the shop I'm working on. When I submit these to CGC, I'll probably end up sending in just one at a time. I will not be sending in duplicates at any point. I don't want them being judged against each other for sure. The next one I ended up picking up was 135. And this was actually my favorite copy or favorite issue in the Dark Phoenix saga. Love Jean Grey. I love John Byrne's rendition of her as the Phoenix and Dark Phoenix. Great cover. I didn't realize this until years later. This was a homage to one of those Neil Adams covers from the X-Men back in the late 60s with the Living Pharaoh. I should have known that because I've got that issue, but it just didn't dawn on me at the time. But wonderful cover. This has been homaged as well. And this right here is to me, it doesn't list it in Key Collector, I don't think, as the first full appearance of Dark Phoenix. But isn't it? The issue before, 135, has her in a single half-page splash panel at the end of the issue. And if you go by the Wolverine 180, 181 theory, this technically should be her first appearance, her first full appearance. So a book like this is still really good. This is July of 1980, and 9.8s only go for about $208. The last one sold, and that was a best offer too, so it was probably a little bit less than that, from November of last year. 9.8 still command a good amount of money at $580, and that sale was back in January this year, just a few weeks ago. So, and then the last book, it's not the biggest of them, but we are going sequential. I ended up picking up issue 136. Now, 136, this was August of 1980, part 8 of the Dark Phoenix saga. Good values on this one as well. 9.8s went for, a few weeks ago, $800. 9.6s just went for $160. So it's not definitely one of the most desirable in the Dark Phoenix saga, but there's still a lot of value in this, and what I paid for it, I think I'll still have a good shot at return on investment no matter what. What's interesting about this on the 9.8, and the same day, they actually had two different sales. I thought to mention this was, I said $800 on one sale, but they literally had a $370 in another sale. So somebody paid a lot more than the other person. So it's kind of hard to tell what the real value is. Is it closer to that $370 or is it closer to the $800? Somebody overpaid, somebody may have paid market value, I'm not sure. But that's it. That's everything I picked up from Trilogy Comics in Virginia Beach. Man, I'm telling you, it is a shop I will go back to. Prices are not cheap, but the conditions of these books are fantastic. And I think I'm going to do really well in the end once I get most of these sent in the CGC, if not all of them. And some of these, the X-Men will be in my PC. Some of the other books will be for sale. They'll be in my PC for a while, but definitely for sale. So I can't wait to get these in the CGC. I'm real happy about that. Guys, check out Trilogy Comics down in Virginia Beach the next time you're in the area. All right, so that's it for today, guys. Let me know in the comment section what you think about Trilogy Comics and about today's haul. They had some great comics. I can't wait to go back down there on my next trip. It can't come soon enough. I need to get those books. They were in great condition, and there's so much more to that store that I want to go through. It's so cluttered. You have to be prepared for that. But I think if you dig a little bit, I think you'll find some great gems down there if you ever get a chance to visit. So let me know in the comments section. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Join me Friday as I go over more key comics that I'm speccing on, whether it's for the PC or for resale. Either way, join me then. And until then, remember, every comic has a story.